Washoe County Library System welcomes you to a wonderful monthly history series that delves into fascinating Nevada topics with local experts. The Nevada Historical Society presents High Noon with Neil Cobb. This afternoon, we have another very interesting topic, Playa Life, Journey to Inner Space. Our local expert on this topic is photographer Bob Goodman. My name is Amy, and I am very happy to be hosting today. And now it is my pleasure to introduce Sherry Hayes-Thorne.
Hi, Amy. Thank you so much. And as always, thank you to John, Tim, and the Washoe County Library System. They're such great partners, and we really do appreciate them helping us get these great programs out to you and making them available by having them recorded so you can watch them at any time. So thank you again this month and today for coming to join us for this wonderful program. A quick reminder, this year is the Nevada Historical Society's 120th birthday. And so we are doing year-long celebrations, great programming. So you'll want to make sure to check out our website. And on May 4th, between 10 and 3 p.m., we will have a free community-wide birthday, and I hope you'll be able to check it out and maybe stop on by. So let's get this show started. So I want to introduce our wonderful host, who has really supported the Historical Society for many years, and we so appreciate his outreach and his wonderful knowledge, helping share great Reno and Nevada history with everyone. And so let me introduce Neil Cobb, who is our honorary curator. So let me say, hey, Neil, how are you today?
I'm doing great. Thanks, Sherry. Our speaker today, Bob Goodman. I want to talk just a little bit about him. Bob Goodman's education in a career with the public and land management continues to this day. He combines his knowledge of wild places with his photographic endeavors to bring them to others that may not be able to personally experience them. His photography and writing of this same has been published in many magazines, books, posters, and calendars, including some of the covers. He has taught photography in private workshops, governmental agencies, and as a team member in various writing camps. Bob has been making public presentations for over 59 years. He has also been a featured speaker at two Professional Photographers of America conventions, one in Las Vegas, Nevada, and the other in Atlantic City, New Jersey. Bob's previous photographic endeavors have included a period of 2 years working with the National Geographic magazine on a special project. He had served 2 years on the Ethics Committee of North American Nature Photographers Association and has served as an AV specialist with the Bureau of Land Management for the state of Nevada for 10 years. So at this time, High Noon welcomes Mr. Bob Goodman.
Today, I would like to spend a few moments talking about the life occurs on the playas throughout Nevada. We have 94 playas scattered throughout the state of Nevada. And one of the largest ones is the Black Rock Playa up north of Gerlach. And the reason that really started my journey here, this is my 5th year, is because of what the people leaving Burning Man, which occurs in September, would say about the playas. They referred to the playas as useless, boring landscapes devoid of anything interesting. I hope in the next few minutes that hold on. Yeah, okay. So I hope in the next few minutes you'll see that that is very, very wrong. So This is the western arm of the Black Rock Playa. It is 200 square miles approximately. And my project here will reduce this in a 10-gallon fish tank to 200 square inches. As you can tell with that little shovel, I was lucky to get anything when I went around and took a shovelful here and a shovelful there. But this is what came out of some of that. And this is looking into the fish tank and looking at this is the side of the uh, tank, and then the stuff that occurs there will also, I hope, be fascinating for you. So on the Black Rock Playa, from the samples I took, one of the predominant species of life forms is the fairy shrimp. The fairy shrimp is a pretty intriguing little critter, inch and a half, maybe 2 inches to the big ones long, but they occur in the playas around the world. The ones that we've been able to photograph here are both male and female, and they have an interesting life cycle. The female will be the first to hatch after adding water to the dry soil, and they will lay their eggs. The first batch of eggs will be laid on the soil, and those are called restive eggs. And the restive eggs will lay dormant until the cycle dries out and then replenishes with water again. It could be a year, it could be 10 years, it could be many decades. These eggs will still remain viable. This is the female at the bottom with the egg sac and the male at the top. They have 11 pair of appendages, and as you can see, they have their eyes are on stalks. Trying to get a sharp image of a of a fairy shrimp is difficult. They are very fast. They can turn in less than a dime, and they change direction and velocity just tremendously fast. But this is also the Black Rock Playa, and we have here a worm type of a bug showing up. This is a fly that flew into the tank before I put a screen over the top of it. This is on the side wall looking at the side of the playa soil. And we have varieties. So we have a little beetle type. This is, to me, very astounding. This is from the 4 Mile Playa, which is out east of Fallon. And during the day, this tank was just totally pure and clear. And there was nothing showing up except this soil at the bottom. So I thought, well, let's see what happens at night. This is what happened at night. These are Daphnia, the low end of the food scale, and water fleas. I have a video of this which shows the difference. The Daphnia are very still. They move just with the current. And the water fleas, as we see here, this water flea here is also very, very minute. So this is greatly enlarged. But they have another intriguing, interesting thing is that they start out with two eyes when they're hatched, and that one eye moves to the right-hand side, and that's the left-hand one disappears. The water flea and the Daphnia, these are Daphnia over here, are low on the food chain, and so there's a gazillion of them. This trying to pick out this is an insect over here. This is sort of a worm over here. This is in the Black Rock Playa also. Here we have the two types of worms, and these are from the uh, Toulon Playa. Toulon is just off of Interstate 80 going east out of Reno before you get to the town of Lovelock. So we have one type of worm here. We have another type of worm here and other stuff in between which aren't identifiable to me. This is what the worms look like. Then there are the shapes and the colors that are just showing up. We will take a look at the algae now that blooms within the Playa waters. We see here a lot of the Daphnia showing up, but the algae grows in cold water, whereas bacterium grows in hot water, which we have a lot of hot steam vents in the state of Nevada also. The size of these can be very minute to very large, but we'll get into what makes them special. And these droplets here are methane. Now, methane is a naturally occurring gas within soils. And so you'll see a lot of the methane bubbles, and they are also important in making some of the features of the playa. These are all methane bubbles. Streak of light coming from the adjoining fish tank. This is be a series I call the floaters. These have broken loose from the algae that has grown across the soils as I've added water to the soils. Algae will grow. The methane bubbles come up and they lift the pieces of algae from the soil below up to the top of the tank, and they have features of their own. And I just like all of the different variety of features in the textures and the colors and the shapes that are developed within there. You can see here the methane bubbles that lifted this off of the soil down below. And there's a ton of combination of algae and methane bubbles. Well, I should mention, any photographers out there, if you would like, I will give you some idea of what I used and how I used lenses in order to get these images. The main thing I had was the Canon 7D, which is a 1.4, I think it's 4, increase in size. And then I have a 100 millimeter macro lens, which is used to get all these close-ups. These floaters happen all the time. And these are Daphnia and water fleas in the background. And some people said I should probably try to get a life instead of sitting around here and photographing this stuff. But it is so interesting and intriguing. I do not spend my entire day out here, but I do go out early in the morning to see what happened overnight. And I will go out in the evening to see what happened during the day. And then I've also taken to photographing after dusk because I have two types of continuous light that I can use to make my compositions. One of the things I call nature's art of the playa is because the Burning Man people, they have their human art that they perform, and I just don't think they can do anything like this. So these things are just, you see the different size of methane here. It's enough to lift the algae off of the bottom of the playa soils. They take a shape and interest of their own. This is a couple of the floaters, which I call, and these are the water fleas. A lot of people may not like water fleas, but I think they're quite interesting. And there's one thing to mention is that even though we have the Daphnia and the water fleas as low on the web totem pole, there's not really many predators that I've found in my samples that will prey upon them. Excuse me. They take on many shapes and textures. These I call scientifically weird. They came up one day, they lasted only one day, and they're just a whole different style of algae. And this was in that same group. And here's these are different. These are different than Daphnia, and I have yet to find out what they are, but it just adds to the variety of life that one finds in the playas. This is, if you like abstracts, this is looking at the side of the tank, and this is the soil up against the tank's glass. And the colors, the shapes, the variety are just never ending. I am so glad all of a sudden that I have digital instead of, I spent decades shooting film. This would have been really expensive. The colors are not, I do not have Photoshop or elements, any of that lighting room or anything. These are all pure natural colors. I wonder about the great designer. I have had people in another type of art, the painting. I have supplied some of these for them to paint from. I would say it took a great variety of colors, or a large palette to do these. This is a worm up here. And I have video of that worm burrowing down into the soil until he disappears. Here's another fairy shrimp. These colors, I don't know, they appear in nature. I'm not sure what they are. They're algae. They may even be maybe a hybrid between the algae and the bacterium, because I've noted I have another project of the hot springs of Nevada, and the bacterium that shows up has a lot of color. Little forests. One of the things that makes for these colors, the color that changes, is I have my tanks on a support, and that support is on a Lazy Susan. So I can turn my tanks to get different effects from the sun. Some of these things last for a minute. They might last for 10 minutes. They might last for an hour. And so I've learned by error to, when I see something, photograph it. And then wait for the next one. Now we come to really what I find really interesting are the methane bubbles that have lifted the algae. That's these stalks are actually algae from the soil below. And the methane bubbles lift them up into all kinds of sizes and shapes. And and those change really rapidly because of just the nature of them. I try for moving the tanks so that I get side lighting for the photographers, and sometimes backlighting is really needed to show the detail. These are what I call playa art. I say these things change really, really rapidly. And so, even though I spend a lot of time photographing the tanks, I wonder what I missed because it changes, while I'm not around. This is heavy side lighting. That light is coming from here. This is towards the evening when I'm using one of my continuous lights. These are from the background reflecting through there. I try to eliminate that, but sometimes it gets away from me. The presence of the methane bubbles just really, to me, adds a whole new dimension to what's happening in there. This is where Neil gave me a bad time. But these are quite far away. And the 100 millimeter macro lens has a very, very shallow depth of field. So you can see what's in fairly sharp focus, and the sharp focus falls off very rapidly with that 100 millimeter macro. The number of compositions that one can come up with is just endless. And let's say one could spend the entire day out there doing these. This one here is the colors, the purple colors show up every now and then. And this particular slide, a painter friend of mine wanted a copy. I sent him a copy of it. So, and he's making a huge panel with this as a basis. I've tried to keep these. This is a compilation of the Black Rock Playa, the 4 Mile Playa, which is east of Fallon, and then the Toulon Playa, which is out towards Lovelock. This is in the evening again. You can see all the Daphnia and that which came out. The reason they come out in the evening, we've assumed, is if there's predators around, they wait till dark so that they come up from the soil after dark, not during the day when they can be preyed upon. Lots of methane. Just a little side story is the reason I found out it was methane. I'm a forester, not a chemist. Um, I was on my way to Gerlach and some guy was pulled off the side of the road. So I pulled over to see if he needed help, and he did not. He was on his way from somewhere in Arizona up to Portland, and he likes to travel the back roads. So he was pulled off. He had just made breakfast and he was rearranging his stuff. And he asked me what I was doing, and I told him, and I showed him some of these. I carry prints around with me, and he was a chemist. And he said, "Oh, look at all that methane." I said, "Well, thank you very much. I'm glad I stopped." This again is in the evening. What I will do is I will spot stuff during the day and then image in my mind what it would look like after dark. I really enjoy that. This is from the Toulon Playa. And what these strings are, I just have no idea. But in some fields, it would be called mycelium uh, from the algae. And this could be what it is. I'm really not sure. This is a circus balancing act, as I don't know how they got there, but uh, I think it's very cool. This is Toulon again. These growths just they appeared overnight. It was just an amazing thing to me. So these all appeared overnight, and then other stuff covered them over. Toulon had been one of the really productive sites as far as the flora goes, and some more of the fauna. Jiminy Cricket. You can see the playa, excuse me, the algae coming over these, and it grows really, really fast. These just really intrigue me. Uh, Again, they developed very, very rapidly. These are, I think some of these might be or not fairy shrimp, the water fleas. You can tell by the eyes. If there's any burners out there, you might get some ideas on what you want to build next year or this year. This is the corner of the tank. So these are growing up. And this was grown all across the top of the tank. Another night shot. And so I hope you get an idea that, the playa is not lifeless. This is from Toulon again. I tell you, it was really a beautiful summer working with this one. Lots and lots of algae. This is the only time in Toulon that I saw these rhizomes coming through. I say for photographers, the type and number of compositions is endless. Like this here is, I will go in after, I'm going to go in and zero in on that. That looks really interesting. Here's something that was really baffled me. This is a stream of bubbles coming from this rhizome. And it didn't last that long. I just happened to be there. I would love to know what this is. I've gone to the Desert Research Institute thinking somebody would be able to identify these things. But personally, I don't care if we call them. I just think they're beautiful. They don't care what we call them. The intricate designs, I'm still amazed. I just, and I've been doing this 5 years. It just amazes me. There's a horse. That's pretty big for that playa. Yeah. Like this thing here, it looks like a sheet, and it's part of some sort of algae, and it occurs frequently, actually. Okay, getting close to the end of the project. I wonder why. So here's the three tanks. There are 10-gallon fish tanks on the platform anyway. When this happened, I thought, well, there's no sense quitting now. So I continued photographing until everything just sort of disappeared. And these are frozen bubbles. These bubbles are in ice, and this is what they look like. This is another feature from the Toulon Playa, and this is frozen. You can see the ice up here, and the entire tank would be frozen, which causes a crack. This is the top of the container. Everything in this is frozen solid. And that just about does it. Now, I do have one other thing here. this is a feature, a floater that is about 1.5 inches, maybe 2 inches long. And it caught my attention because looking inside of it, we have a whole different ecosystem. And so that is how minute these things can be and how complicated and they can be. So I like to give credit where credit is due. Beauty by nature. Okay. What do we do now?
Well, I'm here, Bob, and that's amazing. It was an amazing pictures. I didn't realize you seeing your photos and what you were promoting. You're right. It was kind of like space. So I know that we've got some questions as well. And I guess my first question is, you showed your 10-gallon tanks, and because I was curious how big your tanks were. How long do you let it grow? You showed like you had snow and kind of froze, but you said you've been working on this project 5 years. How long do you let its own ecosystem grow in your tank where you're taking photos?
So my season,
Yeah.
my season is, I'm just getting ready now to start 2024. And and they will go through the summer until everything freezes.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's very impressive. Can you tell me, I'll start reading a few of the questions. You showed there was a couple different worms. Now, how long do those worms live, I guess? Do you know? I just thought that was kind of interesting.
I don't know.
Okay.
What they do is I'm just fortunate, if you want to call it that they show up and then they burrow back into the soil. And so if they come out, that's fine. I have the same question. How long do they live? And I don't know.
Okay. No, it was very impressive. So, okay, so I've got some questions here. There was a photo with a gas of bubble with metallic green and metallic gold. Is each bubble a different color, or is it more like reflections? So you were talking about the methane and the algae kind of, or?
Yeah, there could be the light. There's a lot of reflections in my yard. And so that could be, I'm not sure which one you're talking about, but
Okay.
there's most of the methane is clear. Okay. And their coloration is from the algae that they pick up from the soil.
Okay. Yeah, I noticed there was different shapes, depending on some of your views, of the views of the photos, but then also the pure round bubbles, they almost look glass-like with the sheen on them.
Yeah, yeah. They they really intrigue me. I have a question for you. You seem to be very aware of what you were watching. Did I leave them on long enough, or should I have left them on longer?
No, it was great. It really, I enjoyed it. I'm in my office watching, as so many people are at their computers, but you really can. I was totally getting up to the screen, really looking at it as well, and I was interested in the fleas. You were talking about eyes, so I think I saw a little black dot. So is that what you were referring to, the
Yes.
eyes?
Yes.
Okay.
And they actually move from the left side of the head to the right. Why? I don't know. Yeah.
Someone else said that somebody said this was a talk about inner space, and that's exactly what I was seeing. It's very interesting.
One thing I learned through this process is I really don't know much.
Well, isn't it? They say, there's so many plants and algae and
Oh,
things that are being discovered,
how many?
daily, yearly, in all forms, in the oceans. And so,
I've tried to do research on that, sir, and no, just a very simple thing. I was photographing the spiders out at Pyramid Lake, and then the big wolf. Okay, that should be easy to find. No, there's like 4,000 species of wolves, and so uh, I just accept for what they are, and I just enjoy their beauty and their in whatever their utility or whatever they are.
yeah. And the fact that you are focusing so in so much detail, the microscopic view, it really, like you said, it gives a whole nother life. A few of your pictures made me think of like crashing waves of ocean, like you'd see like in pictures of the ocean, or it definitely is alive. You mentioned, you said the circus act. So I saw like it was a
Oh,
line and
yeah.
then there were bubbles.
Yeah.
So was that like where the water um ended
No,
and the bubbles were on top,
no,
or
no, that was within the water. That
oh,
was surrounded by water. Uh-huh.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah, those
Because it
really,
almost give that impression that you're like, oh, okay, here's the top of the water, but
oh,
okay.
I couldn't get out there fast enough to photograph those.
We've got some other comments saying these photos are simply astonishing. Thanks for creating and sharing. Um, and here's another one. So many of the photos seem like something from the Hubble telescope. It's true. Yeah. And here
I
you
like to
got another one.
travel, but I,
You didn't have to travel far. Beautiful, amazing photographs. Thank you. And then I had this note. Somebody else asked, how many tanks do you have? So towards the end, you showed at least you had 3 tanks. Is
Mhm.
that what you focus on kind of each
I
year?
started out with one
Okay.
From the Black Rock Playa, and then I thought, I'd like to see if there's a difference in what features may appear between different parts of Nevada. So I traveled around and got different playas.
Yeah, how many playas did you say? You said it at the very beginning. There was how many different playas?
94.
90. Okay. I knew you said there was quite a few, but I missed the number. So I would think there would be based on, as with the water, how it settled, and now, with the desert and how that each area would have its kind of own unique life forms, you know. Um,
Well, there was some differences. One year I did the Black Rock. That's sort of my control. And
okay.
then I did the Columbus Salt Flats down
Oh,
that
yes.
by
Mhm.
Midas, not Midas,
Mhm.
Coaldale.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And then the Delamar Playa over by
Oh,
Hyco. I thought that was such a variety. The distances were such that, and there was stuff that showed up, say from uh, the Delamar that did not show up any other place. So
okay. Okay. Um, so okay, when you said that here's the other part of the question. How do you clean your tanks? And then the other one was like, you said you have a tank with a mixture from different playas. Does this cause a problem with the life forms or gas mixtures? So it seems like you have your control that, you each
oh,
playa
each
dig is its
playa,
own tank,
yeah, yeah,
right? Okay.
right. How do I clean them? Very carefully, really,
Okay.
because I don't want to disturb what's growing there.
Okay.
And so I go into the tank with a cloth or a piece of paper and very
Mhm.
slowly wipe away uh, the algae growing on the glass,
Oh,
which
okay.
is not good because from one of the other playas there was worms, and these are I have a lot of video of them because they were to me exciting. But they feed on the algae on the side of the tank. So I quit
Okay.
I quit cleaning it all. Yeah.
Okay. So what do you do with the algae?
At the end,
Do you let it go free?
yeah, I do. I set it free in the fall.
This is it's just been Neil had mentioned, that you used to do project with National Geographic and were a wonderful photographer. But this is a really amazing project looking at everything microscopic and looking at Nevada in a different way. So
You might be
I
interested
like
to,
it.
in when I was working with Geographic, it was on a project when I lived in North Idaho, and it was the features that happened in abandoned mine tunnels after and it's called after the prospector, and it
Okay.
showed what happens, what nature does within an abandoned mine after
Oh,
human.
okay.
Yeah, and I thought,
Is it kind of like how nature reclaims itself
yeah, yeah,
or is modified
it just
with
goes
it?
on. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Well, I bet that would be very interesting because
I
yeah,
do
I
have,
mean,
I do have it
yeah.
available.
Okay. All right. We'll have to talk to you about that again. Um, eh, Neil, do you have any questions or comments you want to say? This was just a really fun program, and thank you, Bob. It was
Well,
Yeah,
great.
what he wanted to prove is that there's life everywhere. And these are the depths of the desert, what, 2, 3, 4 feet down, how far you had to dig. You probably, if he dug a
yeah,
couple of more feet, you'd find some even stranger stuff.
yeah. Well, I actually didn't dig that deep because the eggs from the critters would be on the top surface. So
Yeah.
What I got on Bob about was I says, God, I says, you're a hell of a photographer and everything is just sharp, sharp, sharp. He says, there's action going on in the tank all the time. And he says, the mucky water is where the life is. So, okay. Well, so you have to, he got great shots considering he's taken a photo through a whole bunch of, just muddy water.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Bob, do you have like a website or anything that you
I,
promote your
I do not.
photography?
No, I do
Okay.
not.
Okay.
I used to run a photography business,
Okay.
mostly freelance. I did magazine articles and stuff like that. And lately, I just said, I don't, that's a lot of bother. What I really enjoy, Shirley, is like this, doing presentations. And
Okay.
that's what I've been focusing on the last few years.
Okay. Well, this was wonderful.
I've had Bob do God Club and Westerners and Ollie 2 or 3 different times, and he's just
Nice.
come up with different things all the time. Now this one is really off the wall because who would have ever thought?
Well, people do look at, the dirt and just, everything micro. And so but it's just such crisp and you're right. It has life and motion to it. So it's very fascinating. And I liked like you said, that you would turn them on the lazy Susan. So then the bubbles and the gas and the algae would move. So it's, yeah, it was very impressive. So yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And it was just nice comments and I hope everybody really enjoyed today's program. It was wonderful. So um, if there's no other questions, I'll turn it back to Amy with the Washoe County Libraries. And as always, thank you guys for joining us and helping us be able to provide these talks to everyone.
It's been such an honor to have hosted this program. Thank you all for joining us. And heartfelt thanks to Sherilyn Hayes Zorn with the Nevada Historical Society, Historian Neil Cobb, photographer Bob Goodman, and Tim and John, our Washoe County Library System tech wizards, for making this event possible. Thank you very much, and I hope everyone has a great day.
Bye, everybody.